Hey, what is up mortals? It is TCCrew here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 8 of What If Deku Was Evil. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat, so we begin. The next few weeks passed by easily for Izuku. He ventured out into the forest with Stain day after day, learning what plants were safe to eat and which plants were poisonous. What gear was essential to bring for survival, how to hunt animals and prepare them to eat, how to build a fire to keep warm, and how to clear the fire so that no one would know that he was there. Through trial and error, and with Stain's guiding hand, Izuku became a competent survivalist. The last night of his training, Izuku and Stain sat around a small fire deep in the heart of the forest.
Izuku, I want to discuss our next plan.
Stain's voice dropped, which only happened when he wanted to talk about something serious. Izuku reveled in the way he said our next plan. They were a team now.
The Top Academy Hero School, UA, is hosting a sports festival soon. A competition where the heroes in training will demonstrate their newfound skills and improvements since they started. I want to go and make an announcement. I want to let UA and all those attending know that they are not safe, that the hero killer is still alive and healthy, and still out for blood, and I want you to go with me.
Stain's tone was full of bitter confidence. Stain, the festival will be heavily monitored and guarded by most, if not all, the pro-heroes. Getting in, making a public announcement so threatening, and managing to escape without being caught will be incredibly difficult and dangerous. Not to mention Endeavor will be there too. Izuku had flashbacks to the first encounter with the Fury pro-hero, and he shuddered to think he may have to relive that.
Alone, yes, it would be a suicide run.
Stain shrugged and continued.
But I have an apprentice with me now. Someone who can help plan and who can fight if things go wrong. With the two of us, I think we can pull it off.
Izuku nodded, and they sat by the fire in silence, each contemplating their mission. Stain wouldn't be able to make the announcement in person. He would be swarmed instantaneously by every pro-hero in attendance. He would need a way to broadcast it. Maybe over the loudspeaker, or on the large broadcasting screen on the sports field. But that would still be difficult to manage, since UA Sports Festival had some of the tightest security of any school event. But the idea of letting the heroes know they were never safe, and that their careers could end in the blink of an eye, made Izuku tremble with excitement. No matter how dangerous, they had to try. When Izuku woke up, Stain had already mostly cleared the camp, and he was packing up their gear for the return trip home. It was a quiet walk down the familiar path, both of them still deep in thought about how to approach the crashing of the sports festival. When they made it back to the small cabin, Stain threw the gear by the door and pulled out a crudely drawn map of the UA campus.
I've been scouting the school for years, noting weaknesses in the surrounding walls and buildings, tracking patrol routes and class schedules, and mapping the outer areas. I've even snuck in a few times, risking being discovered in order to better understand the layout of the grounds.
Stain had obviously been wanting to do this for a while now, and now maybe he had the team to do it with.
The sports festival will be held here, in this large arena separate from the main campus.
Stain pointed to the large dome-shaped building.
However, I believe a lot of the broadcasting is done from here, in a separate viewing booth from the top of the stadium.
He pointed again, this time to a small rectangle drawn at the northmost end of the dome structure.
If we can scale the outside of the building to the top of the broadcasting booth, we should be able to get inside while avoiding most of the security. The biggest issue, however, is the announcer is the pro-hero, President Mike. We'll need to take him out in order for me to make the announcement without interference.
Stain smirked and continued.
We can catch him unaware and paralyze him with my quirk and make my announcement while he's helpless.
It was a solid plan, but the hardest part would be scaling the massive arena without being seen. and escaping without being captured, as pro heroes would certainly be rushing to the announcer's booth as soon as Stain started his speech. It would be up to Izuku to keep a lookout and potentially deal with any threats that arise before the mission was complete. He was afraid, excited, nervous, but also driven by the shared desire to scare the heroes and remind them that they're not invincible and can die just like any other person. They spent the rest of the day and most of the night going over all the heroes in attendance, including the strongest students, and how to best deal with them if they were to arrive. Endeavor's notes only had a single word: run. In the following days, Stain trained Izuku with the tools they were going to use for the up-and-coming mission. Specialized claws that slid over the fingers, designed to dig into and grip the surface of all but the smoothest materials. They started with trees in the forest and later on scaled the highest buildings on the outskirts of town at night. The constant climbing put a strain on Izuku, pushing his muscles and the mind to their limits as he climbed up hundreds of feet. No lifeline to save him if he fell. The buildings on the outskirts were worn, and on several occasions the weathered material broke under the claws, forcing him to tangle by one hand as he tried to find another handhold. Stain reassured him this wouldn't happen at the festival, because UA put massive amounts of money into making sure their buildings were the highest quality material. Early in the morning, before the sun started to shine through the horizon, Stain woke Izuku from his sleep. The gear was packed up. The map had been studied, the notes on the heroes had been memorized, and now all that was left was to execute the plan. Stain and Izuku stepped out from the outskirts of the forest. The early morning light revealed the silhouette of a towering arena. News reporters and their crews were already outside with the vans from all over the city parked outside the main entrance. Stain motioned for Izuku to follow, and they skirted around the arena until they were positioned behind the buildings, away from the reporters' cameras. They slipped on their climbing gear and began the lengthy climb up the massive wall. The sun was climbing higher when they finally reached the slanted portion of the dome, and could now stealthily walk up the side, being careful not to slip on the smooth mirrored glass that covered the peak. Once they reached the overhang that looked out over the arena, they lay down to catch their breaths and monitor the situation. The festival had just begun, Prison Mike's booming voice giving commentary to the events unfolding below. As the heroes in training ran through an obstacle course for their first event, Izuku scanned around with his binoculars, searching for one person in particular. Finally, he saw him, near the front of the race. Gatsuki Bakugo, his lifelong bully and first person he had beaten, was running almost neck and neck with Shoto Todoroki, Endeavor's son. Izuku clenched his binoculars tighter, rage pulsing through his body. One day Bakugo will get what he deserved, what all heroes deserved. The race finished, and the next event started. A cavalry-style game of tag between various groups of students. Izuku scanned around the crowd, searching for the massive frame of Endeavor. After sweeping the crowd multiple times, he couldn't find him. He nudged Stain. "Stain, I don't see Endeavor anywhere in the crowd. Do you think he's even here?" Izuku was relieved, glad to not see the powerful hero among the heroes. But his heart sank quickly at Stain's reply.
"He could be guarding the booth or roaming the arena inside on patrol. His pride and joy, Todoroki, is competing today, and I find it hard to believe he wouldn't be here."
Stain's voice had a hint of worry to it. No doubt he was still shook up by his encounter last time. The cavalry tag battle ended, and a concrete square was raised in the center of the arena. President Mike announced that the final event was a one-on-one duel with other students, in a tournament-style elimination series. This is when Stain decided to make his move. Stain nudged Izuku and motioned him to follow, and they quickly dropped from the overhanging onto the announcer's booth. They both peeked over either of the sides of the booth, checking for guards or heroes, but the entire arena around them was empty. Stain and Izuku dropped down in front of the door inside, and waited for Prison Mike to finish his announcements before making their move inside. Stain slowly pushed the door open and looked inside. There was a police officer sitting on the back of the room, and Prison Mike was standing at the large glass window, watching the event unfold below him. Stain motioned to Izuku to take out the guard on his move. Prison Mike's booming voice began to commentate on the battle below, and Stain swung the door open and dashed in. Izuku followed close behind, his staff in hand, and swung it full force at the unsuspecting guard. The staff connected with a hard crunch, and the officer slumped to the floor. Izuku looked over to see Stain, standing behind Prison Mike, with his sword drawn. After his announcement, Prison Mike turned around.
"I thought I heard someone come in."
He stopped short. Before he could process the hero killer who stood before him, Stain cut a deep gash into the hero's chest and instantly paralyzed him. Prison Mike fell to the ground, gasping for air and trying desperately to move. Izuku knocked him unconscious with a quick swing of his staff, worried that he may still find a way to alert the heroes to their attack. Stain nodded in his agreement at the action and stepped up to the microphone. He watched as the heroes in training fought below, testing their skills, training to one day become the over-worshipped scum that were heroes. If he could, he would level this entire school. It was nothing but a monument to the elite. The duel below ended, and the crowd was getting nervous, casting glances at the booth, waiting on Prison Mike to make an announcement as to which students would fight next. Instead, Stain tapped the mic a few times before speaking.
"Listen well, heroes."
Stain's voice was cold and deep, the words full of rage and hatred.
"The hero killer walks among you, even here in this secure arena, guarded by heroes and police alike. You are not safe. No one is safe from my blade, and no one is safe from death."
He stepped away from the microphone and slowly began walking to the door. His announcement made, the mission completed. All that was left now was to escape. Izuku looked down at the crowd of people, all stunned by the announcement. And then the panic set in. People began rushing for the exits, pushing and shoving and screaming. Izuku turned to follow Stain, when suddenly a hero came crashing through the window of the announcer's booth. Izuku and Stain turned quickly, preparing to fight Endeavor. But crouching on the other side of the room was Katsuki Bakugo? Thank you all for indulging yourselves in the story thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes deep into the facts and lore of a wide variety of anime. It's sure to expand your read knowledge for all kinds of series. Guaranteed. On top of that, we got a third channel called Ready/Till Naruto What Ifs. It's what we do on this channel already, but in the vast world and lore of Naruto. Go check it out if you're in the mood for some jutsu action. Secondly, on behalf of Ready/Tills, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at Ready/Tills, then I would like to extend out an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being we only accept members 16 years and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. Our Discord is an all-around fantastic place to be. Whether you're a fan or looking to join our band of misfits, we're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching, and have a great day.